the Financial Survival Network, helping you to survive and thrive in the new economy. Get your free financial survival toolkit and find out where to buy gold and silver safely at great prices. Sign up at financialsurvivalnetwork.com. This is the Financial Survival Network.
1490 WGCH. This is Kerry Lutz, and you're listening to the Financial Survival Network, which is brought to you by Miles Franklin. They've been in business selling gold since 1990, and I'm a customer because when you buy, they ship. To find out more, go to milesfranklin.com or call them at 800-822-8080 and get a free quote. Today is a day like so many others. Parents experience it often. You look at your kids and you think, have I totally lost control? And that's probably what the Fed and the Treasury and all the central banks are thinking now. And to elaborate more on that, we have Ranting Andy Hoffman from Miles Franklin to spill the beans on it. Hey, Andy, how are you?
Excellent. And Kerry, I have to compliment you on your wonderful ability to take tidbits and turn them into conversations, because that's a perfect start.
That's why I do what I do, Andy.
I guess so.
If I couldn't do that, then I couldn't do this. So, but the point is the segue and the theme, that's what we're talking about. And sure, it looks like gold prices are kept low, silver's kept low. But if we look at the Dow and we look at the underlying economy and what's really happening in Europe with the euro, Spain, and Italy, I think they're going to start breaking out the adult diapers soon for the powers that be, right?
Well, look, the key word is control. It's what we were talking about before. You know, in my position, I get many emails, a lot of people asking questions like, when will they lose control? When will we win? And all that stuff like that. And again, I say overall, the number one thing I say is, if you own physical gold and silver, these are not investments. We are not sitting here waiting for them to lose control. We just sit and they hold their value over time. Now, if you're owning PM investments of any paper sort, where they're mining stocks or ETFs, whatever, well, that's a real worry, because they may not lose control for some time, or they may not lose control until you've lost all your money. So that's why I, number one, emphasize that the only way to beat these guys who have unlimited paper at their disposal is with the real thing. Now, the other question is, it's funny when people say, when will they lose control? Because they're acting like, oh, well, because the Dow hasn't gone from 12,000 to 10,000, or gold hasn't gone from 1,600 to 2,000, that they're firmly in control. And I'm going, people, take a look what's going on in the markets. Take a look what's going on in the global economies, in sovereign yields everywhere. In fact, I'm writing a piece right now, just as you called. It's the 1-year anniversary of the GATA conference. And I wrote in it, I said, just to show you, think about what's happened in a year. Greece at the time, it was a big deal. Greece is going to fall apart. The Greek stock market is down 50% in the last year. And every economy, every stock market in the world, China's down 20%, Italy's down 30%. Everything's down. Sovereign yields are down. Every economy is down. The U.S. economy is plummeting from a year ago. And we have $1.6 trillion more of debt when we had our debt debacle. So the fact that they have held the Dow about where it was from a year ago doesn't mean they've controlled anything. And, and all those things that I'm talking about are only going to get far worse. How could anyone in the right mind believe that unemployment will not grow worse from here, that GDP will not grow worse from here around the world, and that, of course, all this situation in Europe is not going to end with a breakup of the euro? Of course it's going to. So the fact is, they are not controlling anything. They are dramatically losing control. And the only reason people perceive themselves as control not being lost is because they're owning these investments that they still can attack at will.
Yeah, and that's a really tenuous bit of control, isn't it? That all they could do is manipulate the price of things, but yet the underlying economy is like a runaway freight train. There's nothing they can do about it, is there?
Right. And that's why I've been writing for how many months now? I mean, how sick of you of me writing that the only tool that they have left is money printing, market manipulation, and propaganda. The propaganda doesn't work anymore because everyone's out of work. Plus, everyone sees all these banks losing money and stealing from them. I mean, no one believes anymore. Let's say if they had this summit. They had the summit, 2 weeks ago. We're going to bail out Europe. Guess what? The markets have crashed since then. So the propaganda doesn't work. And except for a couple of select markets where the king of manipulation, the United States, is involved, like the paper gold market and the Dow Jones propaganda average, they're not controlling the financial markets at all. So the fact is, I expect things to get so much worse that I hopefully we'll still be able to have Skype to communicate on, because I expect horrors to come out of Europe in the coming months, and I expect the United States kings of manipulation to lose control of sorts of even the last vestiges, the Dow Jones propaganda average and paper gold, because there is no way on earth. I mean, look, everyone was shocked, including myself, that the PSLV did that $200 million deal a week or two ago, because people don't realize that underlying the crappy action in the paper silver, which really has just been flat, it's not been crashing, is massive buying. Look at what the London gold trader is talking about on King World News. That guy knows. He's been right for years and years. There is massive physical buying. So it doesn't matter how much these guys manipulate the paper price, they're not going to win. And as for the bank stocks, I mean, they've never had control. Where I look at these French stocks like Credit Agricole and Paribas falling 5 or 7% every day. Morgan Stanley, everyone should watch that stock, because it is right now, I call it the most important stock in the world. It's the weakest of all the too big to fail banks. They're just not big enough to support their debt and derivatives. They're not big enough to be JP Morgan. And they're going to go soon. Just watch how much that stock is manipulated. And by the way, how much it hasn't worked manipulating it. It's near its lows from last fall. And I'm looking at that as the next Bear Stearns.
So they're going to be bailed out? Are they going to be forcibly merged into another company? What do you think is going to be the upshot of it?
I don't know. One or the other, or both. Or maybe too many things happen at once. And it's not, I mean, the issue is not Morgan Stanley. It's all these companies. And the fact that Morgan Stanley's down because it has major European exposure as well as the derivatives, a lot of it to France, and France is exposed to Greece and Italy and Spain. So it's not just a Morgan Stanley problem. It just happens to be, of the U.S. too big to fail banks, the one that's the smallest compared to its liabilities, and the one that it's going to be the least, it's the one that's the most difficult to pretend that it's still alive.
Interesting. So you think that's the next one to fall, and they can't allow it to be another Lehman, because that will bring the whole system down, right?
Well, it's the first of the too big to fails in the States. And that's what I'm talking about. There's so many others in worse condition. I mean, the fact that it's down so much is because it's exposed to Credit Agricole. Credit Agricole is the second biggest retail bank in Europe. And I've been writing for how many months now that it's on my number one list of the death watch. I mean, that thing is a goner. And when it goes, it'll take Morgan Stanley with it, because Morgan Stanley is exposed to France. And of course, all the French banks are exposed to the Greek and Italian and Spanish banks. Those are all going to be goners. So I just watched that one because, like I said, the United States is the kings of manipulation of supporting stocks. And I watch this one and I can see that this stock is the linchpin of their ability to maintain control. And, I think outside factors are going to swamp them. It's just a matter of time.
So you just can't put off the inevitable is what it comes down to. And this comes to the next question. People always say, perception is more important than reality. As long as people perceive that things are getting better, as long as they believe that the economy is going to recover, then it's the same thing as if it does. And here we have perception diverging from reality, don't we? Absolutely.
That's what I was just talking about before. And when you have money printing, market manipulation, and propaganda, the market manipulation is barely working anymore. It works for the Dow Jones propaganda average and paper gold. That's about it. Everything else is falling, and the propaganda doesn't work because everyone's out of work. I mean, how could anyone think that I mean, most people don't even care about the markets. No, we all know that the public has left the stock market years ago. I mean, that's public information. So it's not like they're sitting there watching the stock market. And to believe that with the basically 20+% unemployment rate that we have in this country, most of whom are people who have no savings, that they really could give a rat's arse about whether the Dow goes up or down. Everyone knows now that the perception is dying. There's no one's even looking at the Dow, and no one believes it for a second. The only reason to keep it up is because, yes, if the Dow was down 5% today, like Spain was, then you'd have the mainstream media piling on, and they're Pollyannas who are paid shills to say good things, and even they won't even be able to say good things. So it'll be kind of a swamping effect if the mainstream media starts to write about it. And it's in due time. It's coming.
Yeah. So reality always triumphs in the end, is what you're saying then, huh?
Yeah. And to bring that point home, I mean, what I and many others have been writing about is the incredible amount of this criminality and manipulation that's been reaching the mainstream media. I mean, this is every day now. It's on Jon Stewart. I saw Peter Schiff was the head article on Yahoo, not just Yahoo Finance, all of Yahoo. And it was his video saying the markets are going to crash and gold's going to soar. And I am seeing this stuff everywhere now on the mainstream media. And that's because the perception is breaking down, because everyone is suffering. Everybody. And it doesn't matter if the Dow is down only. I mean, I'm looking at the Dow today. It's down 1.00%. Okay. You know what it was down on Friday? 1.00%. I mean, even adult realizes now that this thing is being supported, because Spain was down 6% on Friday and it was down 4% this morning. Everyone knows, and it's not long before the Dow Jones either is completely ignored by everyone on earth, or it crashes, one or the other. And if people want to be smart asses and say, oh, well, they'll come in with QE and boost it. Do you know how much QE it would take to make the Dow make a meaningful move right here? I mean, if Jim Sinclair is right, and we have this, any weekend we have a big, major, massive global QE announcement, it's not going to be a little QE announcement. It's going to be like $3 trillion, like in the Day the Dollar Died video that the NAIA did a few years ago.
Sure.
And then you will see gold break out. I mean, big time, not going up 2-3%. I'm talking about slicing through $2,000 like it's not there.
Yeah, well, on that charming, enlightening, and less than optimistic news, we'll call it a day, Andy. But thanks for being on milesfranklin.com. And sounds like the time to be buying, if you're not already, is now.
Yes, people, just come to my blog and read it. Read David Checkman's. Heck, just give a call to Miles Franklin and just get a feel for what it's like. It's such an easy process to buy physical gold and silver or have it stored, and just answer some questions just to get to know someone who's in the business.
All right. Hey, Ant, we'll talk to you again next week. You be well.
Great. You too.